will not believe when you wear this brooch that it isn't an antique. I start this brooch with a button cover I found way back from the 80s tucked in the back of a drawer. This button cover has a lot of great detail to it, which makes it look really antique. To get that detail, I use a silicone mold, which is a two-part compound. The only rule I'll give you on this one is that it has to be equal parts in order for the chemical combination to work. It is the squishiest material. You just take it and squish it. It's like playing with bubble gum. And you squish it and squish it and squish it until the color is uniform throughout. You want it to have that nice purple color. You don't want to see any of the white remaining. Once you get there, I won't go that far for this. Once you get there, you want to make it into a ball, put it down onto your work surface, kind of pat it down just a little bit. Take your button cover or whatever object that you want to use and place it into the mold material so that it's level. You don't want to have it be uneven so that when you put the clay in later that it is an uneven brooch. That wouldn't work very well. So you want to let that sit. And then it's a 5-minute compound, which is pretty close to accurate. You'll know exactly when it's done. When you press your fingernail into the finished mold, your fingernail won't leave a mark. Once you know you're ready, open your clay. And when you're working with your clay, remember to condition it. You want to take it out of the wrapper and then just squish it. Again, it's like playing with clay, you know, it's clay. We're squishing like bubble gum. We're gonna just condition it so that all of the molecules are all where they're supposed to be. And then once we're at the right consistency, you'll get to know that feel. It's like a little stiffer bubble gum. We're gonna put it into the mold and then just press it so that it fills out all of that area that you created with the button cover. And you can vary that and make it a little smaller so it has a little finer in size. It's really up to you. You'll get to understand how the mold works as you work through it. But you can create many different versions of the same mold. From the same mold, you can create many versions of the same pin. We're going to take our pin findings, which have this really cool little knob on the bottom. That's how you know what is the bottom. So you put that right into the clay. And you want to get it in there so it's nice and steady and level. You also want that to be level because eventually that'll be what you attach your pin to, and that'll be what you attach your pin to your clothing to. So you want that to be in there nice and firm. And you're just going to put the other half in there at the same plane so that they're parallel. Once you have them set, I always do an eye check. I always look to make sure that the pin is going to line up properly, and then I let it be and I let it dry. Once it's dry, I pop it out of the mold. And look at that detail. That molding material really picks up the detail, which is just so wonderful. And then the clay also, given its properties, picks up the detail from the mold. So it's really a great pairing. So from here, I want to make sure that the pin back is hidden. So I'm going to take the paste and my paintbrush, and I'm going to apply the paste over the pin finding area that's still exposed. And I want to just make sure I'll probably put 2 layers on this. Like as it dries, I'll let one layer dry. I'll go back, I'll put on another layer, just so it's really covered well. And you want to just get that in there so it's nice and secure and can hold up to the wear and tear of wearing the pin. And then I'll cover that up so it doesn't dry. And once that is dry, once the paste is dry on the back of the pin finding, it's time to get to work on finishing. The finishing is where I spend the most amount of time, and it's what I recommend that you should do because it's really what will make the difference in your finished piece. So I'll go through all of my layers of sandpaper, all of the grits, till I'm working finer and finer and finer, always starting with the coarsest grit so it takes off the most material. And then as you work through, getting finer and finer, the finish will get smoother and smoother, which is what we really want for that nice mirror finish at the end. I take my jeweler's files and I get into all those crevices so that it cleans them up and really highlights all of that detail that you started with from the button cover. You can get in there and really just polish it, get all those edges nice and smooth, and then always do the at the end so that when you go to fire, there's no loose particles. You do not want any loose particles going on here into the kiln, or they will just fire in place. And that'll then kind of muddy up your details. So just always make sure you blow off your pieces before you put them in the kiln. Pop this baby into the kiln, let it do its thing, let it come down to room temperature. Once it's down to room temperature, you're ready to bring up that shine. I'm going to use the steel brush first, and I'm going to go through and brush. This will leave that satin finish, which is just so beautiful, and really more even an antique finish than you really could have ever expected achieving. I'm just going to go through and brush, and then I'll take the burnisher and highlight the top layers and just kind of go over. Because this won't get down into those crevices, you're really going to make those highlighted areas pop. See how that brings that shine up? Your friends will never believe that you made this pin and that it wasn't something that you found in your great-grandmother's jewelry box. I promise you that. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Once you're all finished and you're happy with the finish, you're going to add your pin finding. And when I'm creating a piece, I don't like my finding to be what dictates how big or how small my piece is. And with this piece in particular, the pin finding is longer than the brooch. So all you need to do is take your wire cutters, cut the wire to the length that you want so that it extends just a little bit past your catch, and then use your sandpaper to resharpen the pin. And then this pin finding has an area here where the pin will then get set into. It has a little knob. We're going to take our pin finding and set it into that area right there. And then you make sure that the circle is on that little knob. Get it set in there, and then you're going to squeeze this shut. Make sure it's in the right place, and then squeeze shut, and that'll hold your pin in place. And then your pin is ready to go. You pop it on your shirt, put it on a jacket, and strut around town. No one will believe that it's something you just finished making. You can make these kinds of designs with any other material that you have, that you find, that you come across. A coin, sand dollar, a charm that you want to replicate and make into being multiples. The possibilities are endless. And then you can finish it with the antiquing solution. You could really then go from wherever you want at that point. Have fun with it. It's really a great project.